Conservatives hate art. They can't comprehend it. They don't know what art is or how it works. They know that it is based somewhat on feelings, and they have a lot of feelings. It's just that they can't express them because their feelings are bad and wrong and fear-based and anger, hatred-based, just like Darth Vader there. He has a lot of anger and a lot of hatred and a lot of suffering, and he wants all the people to hurt and suffer, just like the Conservatives. They don't get it. They're on his side, and they try and spice it up as we are the good guys. They're not, and they know they're not. Orlando residents and members of the LGBTQ community have restored the Rainbow Crosswalk Memorial, honoring the 49 lives gunned down at the Pulse nightclub after DeSantis DOT had it erased in the middle of the night. So there was a bigoted, hateful attack on a place called the Pulse nightclub. You've heard about it. It was a big deal. It was all over the news. 49 people died. And then, in response, they painted a crosswalk the rainbow colors. Great. Fine. No problem. What's the problem? Oh yeah, DeSantis hates gay people. So then DeSantis, who hates gay people and hates that rainbow flag, painted over the rainbow with just plain black.
Hello human, it is me Canuch. I need you to press the subscribe button. I have to feed my many AI babies.
He hates people. He really does. He hates the gay people because he's bigoted. He doesn't like them. They're not normal. They're not conservative. So he hates them, and he does not want them to be considered people. He doesn't want them. He doesn't like them. He wants them to go away, to shut up and never talk again. They're not conservative, which means they must suffer. If you aren't conservative, you must suffer economically, politically, culturally, and militarily. You must be harmed until you are a conservative. That is the end goal of conservatism. Hurt the people that aren't conservative until they are. Hurt them. Take away their rainbows. Pave over the rainbows on the street. And then maybe they'll stop posting up the rainbows. Stop being gay if you're not allowed to. Make it illegal to get married to the same sex, and then they'll stop doing it. Then there will be fewer gay people, obviously. Make transitioning illegal. That way there won't be any trans people. Make it illegal to use a bathroom of the sex you weren't born to, and they will stop going out in public. They'll stop being trans people. They want to get rid of them. They want to get rid of everyone who isn't them, that isn't perfectly conservative. It's eradication rhetoric, is exactly what it is. And it comes directly from their government. Florida puts rainbow crosswalks in the crosshairs as cities face deadlines to remove them. So there are many of these things that they're calling to be removed. This one, they want removed. The chicken is fine. The chicken can stay. The mopeds can stay. The flags, they gotta go. The rainbow on the street, that has got to go because they hate it. Multiple Florida cities are now facing deadlines in the coming days after being ordered to paint over or remove so-called rainbow crosswalks, brightly colored street crossings meant to celebrate gay rights and LGBTQ pride. In letters from the state transportation department, communities are being ordered to remove them by early next month. I am outraged by the state of Florida's decision to forcefully remove pride crosswalks, symbols of love, support, and unity in our communities. Conservatives hate those things. They hate love, they hate support, they hate unity. Fuck that. They hate it. They want fear, division, and conformity is what they want. These vibrant installations are more than paint on pavement. They reflect the values we hold dear to in Miami-Dade: respect, appreciation for fellow neighbors, and the fundamental right to live and love openly. They don't want you to live and love openly. They want you to conform to their preference. They don't like seeing these rainbows, so they don't want them to be legal. The warnings to communities across Florida come this week after removal of a rainbow-colored crossing marking the 2016 massacre outside the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, where 49 people were gunned down. It was painted over in the middle of the night by work crews. And I think DeSantis mentioned it specifically. Yeah. Federal Highway Administration said that in a statement Friday to the Associated Press that Duffy, the MTV Road Rules real-world star, has made every state receiving federal dollars responsible for identifying hazards on their roads. He calls it a hazard because he is a liar. Ron DeSantis on Thursday amplified those comments, saying that we will not allow our state roads to become commandeered for political purposes. If they don't like it, it's political. If they do like it, it's common sense. If they want, if there was a straight pride flag, it would be on the road and it would be common sense. If there's a gay pride flag on the road, that is political, you see. There's a big difference for conservatives. According to the conservatives, Confederate statues put up during the time of Jim Crow, that's history, you see. That can't be taken down, and that's common sense. Museums need to be positive and anti-woke and never mention race or slavery. No. That's patriotism, to talk about all the good things that happened in the 1700s in America. Rainbow paint on the road, that's politics, they say. That's too far. Everything they don't like is political. Everything they do like, common sense. That's why it's such an easy ideology to fall into. Because they're doing it for the museums. They're going for the museums. Trump wants to make it art into a tool of the state. Where's the museum one? Trump's administration anti-woke campaign targets Smithsonian museums. White House flags 7 institutions, including those for Latino, African, and Asian art, for review. So those people have to be reviewed for wokeism. Amid the Donald Trump administration's heavy-handed review of Smithsonian Museum, The Guardian has seen a document compiled all of the White House and detailed examples of how the administration believes widely visited cultural institutions have overly negative portrayals of U.S. history, because most of U.S. history was negative. Man, we did a lot of bad things and we've gotten better. The document, based on the public submissions shared with the administration, points to what it says are the problematic exhibits at 7 different museums, including Benjamin Franklin exhibit that links his scientific achievements to his ownership of enslaved people, and a film about George Floyd's murder says it mischaracterizes the police. It probably doesn't. President Trump will explore all options and avenues to get woke out of the Smithsonian and hold them accountable. They're a museum, man. They're already accountable. If it's wrong, you can tell them they're wrong. They want to be correct. They're a museum, man. Until we get info from the Smithsonian in response to our letter, we can't verify the numbers of artifacts that have been removed because the Smithsonian has removed them on their own, because they are complying. Donald said get the woke out, and the Smithsonian said, okay, we'll get the woke out, because they don't want to be shut down. They don't want to be harmed, because that's what the authoritarian government does. It harms you until you comply. So it will harm them. It will take away actual real history to give you a fake narrative, to give you propaganda. That's where we are. You live in a fascist country now. Sorry, I do. If you, I know you might be watching from outside of America, and I know some Canadians and Europeans have watched it before, but America's a fascist country now. We're in an authoritarian dictatorship now. And that's me. We're authoritarian, yes. A dictatorship, depending on how this next election goes. Depending on how the next election goes, we might be an authoritarian dictatorship. We are authoritarian, and we're working on that dictatorship part. Conservatism is a very easy ideology to fit into, because you don't have to learn anything. You don't have to study. You just feel like you don't like something. You feel like you don't like a person or a place or an ideology or a certain set of actions. If you feel like you don't like it, you can find a place in conservatism. If you want to be a leftist, you have to read all of Marx. And then, even then, you'll get challenged by goobers in chat, like I was last week, who challenged the fact that I hadn't read all of Marx or all of Kropotkin or all of Foucault, and they just tell you that if you haven't done that, you can't be a leftist, It's insane. Conservatism doesn't require any study, any effort. It's a passive thing that is imbued upon you by people who raise you in a rural area, by the local news and by the culture all around us. Culture reinforces your politics. Culture is upstream of politics. It always has been. It's reinforced through nostalgia for your younger, simpler life. And the most dangerous of fascists know this. Steve Bannon, the white nationalist, knows this. That's why he works so hard to get his ideas in front of people and to control the culture so that he can direct where the politics will lead. He wants to control the culture so that it will lead to the politics that he prefers. That's why they try so hard to remove these rainbow flags, to prop up the Confederate generals. Rainbow flags are a sign of progress. It reminds you that things were bad, but then they got better with hard work and effort. Progress is possible. It is an optimistic view. Conservatives hate progress. They hate change. They are a backward-facing ideology that wants to turn back the clock. They're using the Confederate statues in the same way as progressive people use the rainbow flag, but from a negative, pessimistic view. Things were worse back then. Quit complaining about today. Today's black people have more rights than they did in the Jim Crow South, so quit complaining. Quit trying to disrupt the system. Quit trying to progress. And the conservatives of the past did the same thing. The people in the Jim Crow era had it better than they did under chattel slavery. So quit complaining. Quit trying to disrupt the system. Quit trying to progress. And they're wrong. Time and the future tomorrow will not be yesterday. Conservatives cannot wrap their heads around this idea, and they hate it and they fear it. Tomorrow will not be yesterday. And they fight tooth and nail, vainly, in an endless fight to make tomorrow into yesterday. They want fewer rights for the people they don't like. They want to turn back the ability to transition. They're winning on that one. They want to beat back the progress we made for marriage equality. They want to beat back the ability for women to vote. They want to beat back the ability, the rights of people who are not straight white men. They want only the straight white men to vote and only the straight white men to be in charge of anything, and then they'll beat that back too, to only the ones who own land. All you people like me, well, I do own a house, so I own that, but any straight white man who rents isn't allowed to vote. You have to be a land-owning straight white man to have any say in this country. That's what they want. They will turn that backward because they don't care about anybody who isn't them. They don't care about anything that isn't their power. They are entirely self-centered. That's what, as society progresses, it becomes less self-centered. It becomes more about the whole. It becomes more about the community. The society as a whole is more important than the individual. And they're afraid of that. They're terrified of that. They hate that idea. And it makes them lash out in weird ways. It makes them attached to certain cultural touchstones. And when those cultural touchstones change, they freak out. They panic. When Bud Light hires a trans person to do a commercial, they freak out and they panic. When the M&Ms have changed the green sexy M&Ms shoes, Tucker Carlson throws a fit. When the Cracker Barrel changes their icon, changes their logo, the Cracker Barrel is changing, and the conservatives hate it. They're very unhappy about this. The Cracker Barrel has changed its logo. Nothing else that's going on in the country is important right now. Ignore the creeping police state, ignore the criminal president doing crimes, ignore the people losing health care, ignore the runaway capitalism, ignore the border, ignore all of that. The biggest political story in history has just gone down. They changed the Cracker Barrel logo slightly. They took away Uncle Ben from you and Aunt Jemima and the little squaw on the front of the Land O'Lakes butter. And now the barrel from the Cracker Barrel. It used to be the guy. Oh, dang it. Where'd the thing go? It's this, but it used to be that. It used to have an old white man leaning against a barrel, but now it took off the white man and the barrel, and it is ruined. The conservatives are very unhappy with this. They are mad that the thing has changed. They hate change. Stop changing things. Stop doing stuff. Stop progressing. Everything needs to sit still, and if possible, go backward. Okay? They needed that Cracker Barrel because it was white culture. And I'm not even arguing that it wasn't. It was white culture.
They took the cracker from the barrel.
Exactly. They took it away.
Shark Panic.
They took it away. Now, conservatives are going to tell you that this is the wokeification, that they took that off for going woke so that it wouldn't, and now they're going to go broke, and they are going broke. Their stocks are falling because of bad press, and it's insane and it's stupid, but their stocks are falling. I did read that down where they lost like $100 million in stocks. Let's see what the Southern brand identity is at the root of the outrage. The claim being that the rebrand is the latest nail in the coffin, burying American tradition. One conservative consultant lamented it on X. "We can't stand for this. Return to tradition," said the Nazi on X. Another conservative activist posted, "It's not about this particular restaurant chain. Who cares? But about creating massive pressure against companies that are considering any move that might appear to be wokeification." So they're very upset because it might be wokeification. Wokeification is the thing that is unacceptable to them because it is progress. Wokeification is progress. It's forward thinking. It's forward movement. And they hate that. I just described how they sit still and want to turn back time. Turn back time is what happened at the Cracker Barrel. You walk in, I don't know if you've ever been, but it's a store first and then a restaurant second. You walk in and there's just a giant lobby selling rocking chairs and wooden furniture and stickers about how you're from the past and covered wagon bullshit. It is American culture. It really is. But it's white culture. And that's fine. You're allowed to have that. And you're allowed to go there. I've been there plenty of times, and I eat a chicken fried steak with white gravy. It's delicious. Mashed potatoes with more white gravy. It's delicious.
Hey, that sounds pretty boring for a culture.
Most culture is. But it's theirs, and they want it. And then I dip my biscuits into the white gravy. It's delicious.
Fair XD.
Most culture is incredibly boring. Most culture is boring, but it's their identity and it's attached to their identity. I dig that. I recognize why they're upset about this. This is obvious that they're unhappy about it because it was theirs and it's changed, and they think it's changed because they want more money, and that's exactly right.
Waldo Politics, did you get a download from God during that chicken fried steak?
I didn't. No, it was delicious, and I've eaten many chicken fried steaks, and they're fantastic. But I don't get messages from the Almighty when I do that. I just feel good. So yeah, they don't want those things to change. They don't want their culture to be more inclusive because they don't want it to change. And I understand that. I recognize that change is scary and difficult. But Cracker Barrel's a company. And if they think they're going to make more money by taking the white guy in the barrel off of the label, then they will. If this weren't attached to a company with stock, they would have a better leg to stand on. They really would. Why is everything in American culture tied to a product that has to be sold? It's because capitalism is running amok in America. You cannot have anything that isn't tied to a brand or a product. I'm coming to you on Twitch, which is tied to a brand and a product and a company. I'm coming to you through YouTube, which is tied to a brand and a company. Can we have identity that isn't attached to a product, isn't attached to a service, isn't attached to money? That would be nice. I wish that were possible. Sometimes you get internet memes, but even then, like, you have to be on the internet to get them. There is no American culture without capitalism, and that leads to capitalist decisions about the culture. It leads to capitalist decisions about what their logo should be, about what products they should sell, about products they shouldn't sell. And if you choose a specific identity to sell to, you lose out on all the other identities. And that is dangerous. That limits your market share, you know? It's difficult. Capitalism is running amok, and the Americans don't know the difference between capitalism and culture. They don't. They can't separate the two because they don't know the difference. and they don't care. Most of them, most of the people in the middle don't know that they're drowning in capitalism. They don't know that they've never thought about the fact that the Cracker Barrel is a company that needs to make money. They have shareholders, they have owners, they have a bottom line, and they need to make as much money as possible.
Best viewers on streamboo.com.
See?
Remove the space.
Look at it. Capitalism.
17 is Z.
Capitalism running amok right here in my own stream. I do love that, like, as I rail about capitalism, someone tries to sell me a thing, right? Like, as I'm complaining about the overrun, overworked, the running amok of capitalism, a robot tries to sell me something. Isn't it great? Isn't it fantastic? And what would that robot have sold me? The robot, if I'd given them money, would sell me fake people inside this chat right now. Fake people. Why would I do that? So that my numbers could go up.
Robots selling robots.
Robots selling robots. My numbers would go up. Then maybe more people would see me and pay attention and think that I'm worth listening to. Robotception. But honestly, I've done some research on this stuff. As soon as you stop paying them and that goes down, you actually take a huge hit. It's a bill that you never get to stop paying. If I bought 100 robots to watch me tomorrow, then I got 1,000 followers, real human being followers, because of that. And then I stopped paying the 100 robots, you'd actually take a dip, and then everything would go badly. So yeah, the capitalism is running amok right now, and it is attached to so many people's identities that they can't separate separate them. I like Star Wars. I like Pokemon. I recognize those as products. I recognize that I paid money for Bulbasaur here. I did. I saw him and said, oh my goodness, a Bulbasaur. I love Bulbasaur. I will give you some money for it. But I also recognize that it is a company that's making money. I recognize that my identity attached to this Bulbasaur is ephemeral and a part of me that I recognize. Conservatives don't know. They don't inwardly think. And I think that is the biggest difference between the two groups of people. Conservatives are incapable of introspection. They don't know that they can think of their thoughts. They can contemplate, why did I do this? What thought did I have? Why did I have that thought? How did I get it? Where did the onus, where did the persuasion come from? Why do I like Pokemon? Why do I like Bulbasaur? Well, I just like him because he's cool. And he's Pokemon number one. You can't take that away. He's number one. That's a literal fact. Bulbasaur, number one. It's a deep joke. It's a deep cut for anybody who knows. But they think they are Cracker Barrel. And if you change Cracker Barrel, you change something about them. I've said this about identity before. They are Christian, rural, white people. And if you change anything about that, if you say, hey, you could move to a city, you're changing their identity. You're harming them. They are straight white Christian people. And if you say, hey, I would like to be something else. I would like to be a queer gay person in a city, or a queer black person in a city, you're harming their identity. They're like, no, you should be striving to become me. I am perfect. I am exactly as the world ought to be. Everyone should be me, the conservative. And you should all be striving to become me. And if you're not, that means you're intentionally, willingly ignoring perfection. You're willingly dodging perfection. You're willingly running away from perfection. And if you are doing that, you'd have to do that intentionally. Why are you dodging perfect? Why are you running away from everything that is supposed to be good and right and wholesome? You must be bad and wrong and loathsome.
Pressing the thumbs up button will release chemicals in your human brain that will make you feel.
How did they get this idea? Well, it was given to them. Their culture has given them the idea that they are the best. They are the most important. They are the most valuable people in the world. Even every bit of media proclaims that the salt of the earth, hard-working potato farmer in Idaho is the real American. He is the most important part of the country.
Stop oppressing my religion by not being a part of it.
Absolutely. The potato farmer in Idaho, according to the media and according to the news and the movies that we watch, is the hardworking backbone of the country. It's not true. He's just a part of the country. Is he an American? Yes. Should we listen to his opinions? Well, sure. But he doesn't get to run everything. There are other parts of the country. The blue-haired minority born in New York with 3 nose piercing is also an American, whether you like it or not. And they don't like that. The conservatives do not like that. Real America is what they call those center states, those flyover states. They call it real America. New York and Chicago and LA, that's not real America. Those people aren't Americans, according to them. They're city folk. And that is the real divide in our country. It's rural versus urban. If you live in and around a city, if you live in a city, you're definitely left-leaning, Democrat-leaning, populist-leaning, because you see people, you recognize people, you know what reality is. If you live in the middle of the nowhere, in the middle of Nebraska, in a wheat field, you don't know what reality is. You know only that reality, and you assume a lot of other realities. And that person that out in the middle of the Nebraska wheat field gets more value in the government. They get more powerful votes. They get more power. They have 2 senators in Nebraska, even though there's no people there. They have outsized power within the American government, and it's insane. The people in the city have less power in the government, and the people in the rural have way more power within the government. And that is why we keep getting such insane swings from left to right. That's why we get Obama, who does some good things and some bad things, and then we get Joe Biden, who gives the chip, who pushes things to the center, stays there, and then we get the swing to the right, and then center, and then right, and then center, then right. That's why we keep getting this stuff, because the people in Nebraska are fooled. They're tricked. Those normies in the middle of the country who don't pay attention to politics believe Donald Trump when he lies to them. They believe that the cities are rampant hives of scum and villainy, and so they cheer when the soldiers go in. They've never been there. They don't know what it is. They don't know why the things are the way they are. They're just happy that it happened. They want change for change's sake sometimes. But they want that change, not to move things forward or to progress things, but change things back to what they used to be. Change that big city into being from a urban melting pot to a whites only. Change the attitudes at college from being progressive to conservative. Change the fact that your kids go to college and learn stuff and challenge you. Change that to make them grateful to America. Change the museums from pointing out the things we did wrong and how we got better to everything was great, everything is still great. That's what the change, they don't like change, I know, but they want things to change backward. Change back, not change forward. No. Don't change forward, change back. And that's why I can't stand conservatives. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what's going on. They are doing backward-facing ideology and using art as a weapon of the state.
The right has spent decades trying to defund education, and then they act surprised that colleges are left-leaning.
Right. The more you know, the more you understand about what America was doing, and the more you can find the flaws. The more intelligent you are, the more you can find a flaw, you can find a better way, you can point out the inconsistencies. It's difficult to find the inconsistencies within America if you don't know what the history was. When you learn the history, you can find the problems, you can find what we did wrong, you can find the things that should be criticized. Criticism is a mechanism of intelligence. If you don't know anything, your criticism will be poor and based on nothing other than your imagination. It's hard to criticize a thing that you don't know. I have never read Moby Dick, so it's very hard for me to criticize it. I can say it's long, I can look at it and I can see that's a thick ass book, but I can't criticize it literaturally, is that a word? I can't criticize the prose of Moby Dick because I've never read it. If I were to read it, then I would be able to criticize it. So yeah, criticism is it comes after learning, and that's what happens. You learn about the country when you go to college. learn what they've been hiding from you.
Literarily, I think.
Literarily, that's the word. That's a good word. I cannot criticize it literarily. That's a good word. I never went to college, so I don't know any good words. So yeah, I don't know all the nice words. So what was I thinking? Criticism comes after education, after learning, after knowing how a thing works. You can't criticize even after even physical things. Think about a car engine. Car engines, I don't know a damn thing about a car engine. I can't tell you how to make it better. I can't go to Dodge or Ford and look at their pop open one of the hoods and say, that should be over here, that should be over there. I can't do that unless I'm very well educated. Criticism can only be useful after education. And so they do not want criticism of America, which means you cannot have education about America. Do not educate the children about America. Do not tell them what happened. Do not let people know, because then they will criticize. And if they criticize, I feel bad. Conservatives feel bad when you criticize America. It makes them feel icky. It makes them feel unhappy to be reminded that some people owned other people. They don't want you to talk about that. That happened in the past, and they're on board for it. But they don't want the guilt. They don't want your guilt.
But Waldo, they pretended to read the Bible in church. That's the same as education.
Absolutely it isn't. That's the education they like, because it's feelings. It can't be quantified. That Bible, that religion cannot be quantified. That's based on vibes and feelings. If I feel like this guy committed a sin and we should shun him, we can. If I feel like Donald Trump committed a sin and we should take him back because he's a flawed man and that's okay and he's been forgiven by Jesus, then we can. If I feel like, let me see, well, who's a Democrat who cheated on? If I feel like Bill Clinton cheated on his wife and he is unforgivable and will burn in hell, then that's what's going to happen. If I feel like Donald Trump cheated on his wife and he's been forgiven by Jesus, then he has. You see, it's all vibes based. Religion is just a vibe, and the people who follow it are just vibing. They like the way it makes them feel, and they will. If they don't like the way it makes them feel, they'll find a different place to feel different things, and that's why it can't be trusted. It's not empirical; it is vibes based.
I am the algorithm. Click on this video to make me happy. You wouldn't like me when I am angry.